Hi, I'm Murray Island from the United States. I'm very interested in how early humans first arrived in the United States, or the territory that became the United States. But interestingly enough, for several reasons, one academic and one bureaucratic, there aren't sites on the UNESCO World Heritage List that deals with this earliest period. So I'll discuss Chaco Canyon in New Mexico that deals with a later period. Somewhat surprisingly, there aren't that many sites in America on the World Heritage List. And part of the reason is because there's still a lot of controversy surrounding prehistoric America. There's now emerging a pre-Clovis theory, meaning that humans were in the Americas before the Clovis culture. And for many years, the Clovis culture was thought to be the first culture in North America. The Clovis period lasted from about 10,000 to 9,000 BCE. Recently, there's been evidence coming up, contested evidence, that there's a pre-Clovis culture in America. And the best evidence here is the Meadowcroft rock shelter, dating to about 19,000 years ago, if that date is correct. This suggests that humans were in Southern California as early as about 116 to 129,000 years ago. The pre-Clovis theory was and still is controversial. The Clovis culture is the first culture that most people learn in introductory courses dealing with American prehistory. The pre-Clovis theory suggests that humans migrated to the Americas along the coast rather than through the ice-free corridor from Siberia. The Meadowcroft rock shelter in Pennsylvania is very much a national historical landmark. The real issue for many anthropologists and archaeologists is not if there's evidence of early humans at the site, but how to date the site correctly. Some of the reason why America doesn't have many prehistoric sites on the World Heritage List is bureaucratic. On this slide, we can see, according to the National Park Service, the difficulties of designating something as important enough to protect, and if the resources will be there to protect it. And in the bottom paragraph, I'll read this: for a variety of reasons, including the expense and complexity of developing a nomination dossier, the U.S. has nominated sites on a less frequent basis than some other countries. Nominations are developed by property owners with advice and assistance from the NPS Office of International Affairs. So there are real bureaucratic issues, there are real academic issues why there aren't many early sites in America that are agreed upon. But one that did make it on the UNESCO list in 1987 is the Chaco Culture Network, as preserved in several related sites. And they date from the mid-9th to the early 13th centuries. The Chaco Canyon sites are under Criterion 3, architectural and engineering achievements of the Chacoan people who overcame the harshness of the environment in the southwestern United States. Part of the reason why the site is so important is there's been such extensive looting of America's archaeological heritage that it's very difficult to reconstruct ancient cultures without the architecture. And a central feature of the architecture is the kiva, which is a space used by the Puebloan people for rites and political meetings, likely associated with the Kachina belief system. It's still preserved among the modern Hopi and some other related peoples. A kiva is a large underground circular room like the Great Kiva at Chaco Canyon. Another fascinating aspect of the architecture is that it might preserve information about how the ancient people viewed the sky. And this is revealed particularly in the layout of the architecture as compared with the landscape and the sky. And this is why these sites are so important to preserve, and why there has to be a large enough perimeter around the site to preserve it in its entirety, not just a postage stamp surrounding the site.